Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and we are going to talk about some heavy hitters. We're talking about the heavy hitters that are supported by coins.ph for on-demand liquidity. That uses the digital asset XRP, of course. And when I'm talking heavy hitters, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, Sumitomo, ING, Deutsche Bank, Standard Chartered. Are those big enough for you? There's about 75 other major global banks as well. And this is all about ODL, on-demand liquidity, which uses the digital asset XRP as a bridge. Come on, let's go. Before we jump into the RippleNet documentation, specifically the on-demand liquidity portion of that, I want to point out this remarkable tweet from the Congressperson Warren Davidson. He says, to correct a long series of abuses, he's introducing legislation that removes the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, that would be Gary Gensler, and replaces the role with an executive director that reports to the board where the authority resides. Former chairs of the SEC are ineligible. It appears things are going to get very difficult for Gensler very soon. About 12 hours ago, Attorney John Deaton said that there's been such a diverse reaction to the news that Ripple's liquidity hub will not include XRP, that he believes a Twitter space is warranted. So he and Moon Lambo are hosting, and all opinions are welcome. I'm going to do my best to listen in, but this time frame of 4 a.m. is a little, I don't know, it's when I really feel like I get my prime sleep, but I will listen in if I can. I did put out some questions because I've received a lot of comments, and I just included some of the questions that I've been getting in the comments of the videos. One is, did Ripple pull a Coinbase on the XRP community? Number two, how come ODL is okay, but not Liquidity Hub? Number three, XRP is more liquid than Ethereum Classic and Bitcoin Cash. And we've never really actually seen clarity for those two mentioned. Number four, why didn't the Ripple marketing department explain what was going on a little bit better? I think there's a lot of people who have been bringing that up. Number five, if 90% of Ripple's business is outside of the US, then why did XRP get eliminated? Number six, if it takes 3 to 5 more years in the court system, does XRP have to sit out on the sidelines that entire time? Number seven is, was this Ripple's strategy to help fight the courts in the future? I've seen those comments as well. So I think everyone should set a reminder. And it's interesting, he did hear back from Neil, who is an engineer for Ripple with ODL. Let me just see here. He says, regarding number two refers to the question I said, how come ODL is okay, but not Liquidity Hub? He answered here that regarding number two, licensing requirements are different between Liquidity Hub and ODL. With ODL, payment is settled between sender and receiver, and Ripple is not a counterparty. With Liquidity Hub, Ripple is in the middle. So compare the two diagrams and note the absence of Ripple in the first slide. So yes, okay, I can see that. There is no Ripple entity there. And here I see with Liquidity Hub, Ripple sits in the middle there. Okay, that's helpful to know for sure. All right, let's get into this RippleNet ODL documentation. We're going to do a quick overview. I'm going to put a link to this document in the description of this video. And what you'll find is that it introduces you to the use cases, the features, the onboarding process, the payment rails, the fees, the Ripple Home dashboard, which is very interesting. They have a rule book, and really it's about their API, 50 plus pages, a complete technical breakdown as to how RippleNet works and how ODL works. ODL can be used by payment service providers to facilitate cross-border remittances amongst family and friends, also fintechs processing business-to-business or B2B transactions overseas for small to medium-sized entrepreneurs, and companies transferring internal treasury payments to accounts in foreign countries. More schematics that really help you visualize that flow of XRP from, for example, here, the sending institution to the destination bank and then out to the sender account. All RippleNet users on board with KYC. KYC is Know Your Customer. So this is a compliant solution. It's a bi-directional messaging system so that the messages go in two different directions, accessed from both ends. It does this with a single API connection. Amazing. The application programming interface is very user-friendly. And this is a tool that allows software to communicate with each other. One of the features is the option to set the payment method to ODL, on-demand liquidity. That uses the digital asset XRP. And who is using RippleNet? Well, traditional remitters, FX brokers, payment services, companies, local banks, digital banks, corporations, multi-country regional banks, and yes, big global tier 1 banks. Which ones? Well, coins.ph is an exchange that helps facilitate ODL. Have a look. On this list, there are 80 different banks that coins.ph supports for the following payment outlets through on-demand liquidity. And there's the big names that I mentioned in the beginning of this video, but also HSBC, Japan's largest bank, MUFG, and China Bank is on here. This messaging system allows two parties in an ODL transaction to agree to terms for a payment before executing it. They create a quote, and that request goes to RippleNet. RippleNet then forwards that request to ODL, which is then retrieved and returns the FX rate and factoring in all the negotiated incentives and fees. It then returns back to RippleNet and the institution that you are aligned with, which has a 70-minute window where you can accept that quote. If you don't do it within the 70 minutes, it expires. But let's say you accept it, ODL then generates a payment ID, locks in the quote, and for the settlement steps, executes settlement. RippleNet Home is for your managing and monitoring the RippleNet cloud environment. This is where your on-demand liquidity statements are managed, and you can download your reports, breaking them down into the crypto transfer, the fiat transfer, or trade transfers. And there's just an enormous amount of other key information, including your XRP wallet details. One of the more helpful points of this document, especially if you're new to this space or payments, is their glossary. And it takes you into each description of what, for example, a Vostro account entails. And this is so important because this is the problem that XRP is solving. It's that foreign bank account held at a bank, funded in a local currency, and the bank functions as a correspondent bank and manages the funds on behalf of another foreign bank. So Vostro accounts enable those domestic banks to fulfill their clients' international banking needs in countries where they don't have a physical presence. But as we all know, it's very, very expensive. And so using the digital asset XRP is a huge cost saver in terms of trillions of dollars are saved. And if you like visuals, this is the ODL flow, which is titled Crypto Transaction for On-Demand Liquidity. The reason I imagine it doesn't specify XRP is because a stablecoin could also work in this flow. But don't worry, there are plenty of other slides that reference the transfer of XRP. Well, right, everybody. Yes, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.